So that's a great segue. I'm going to turn to Matias now because equity and social justice is your wheelhouse. So how do you see us advancing equity and social justice within King County, especially given some of the challenges we've heard about budgetarily? Some people might say, well, ESJ, that's a nice to have. That's not a must have, but I know you have a different view of that.
Yeah, I certainly do. So really, I mean, equity and social justice, I consider it, and I think we as King County government consider it central to what we do, and central to really being effective and addressing the root causes of issues. It's very much around the issues of whether we're talking about employees and the workforce that we want to create and the culture that we want to create, or really addressing the needs of our communities. It's really central to us being effective, providing the best services, and really creating a strong workforce and a strong community so everybody can thrive and flourish. I think that's what we're aiming to do. We have a number of years already under our belt for in terms of equity and social justice, and a lot of learnings, and I think we're really at a point now in which we're using this as an opportunity to see, okay, what works and what doesn't work, and what are the things that we need to expand, and what are the things that we shouldn't continue anymore. And so we've had the luxury to really do a very in-depth process in which we've talked to hundreds of our employees, many of you here, over 100 community organizations, to really get a sense of what they think is working and where the direction that we should be taking. So really, and some of this is guiding the budget process as well in terms of our upcoming strategic plan that we're going to be transmitting to council later on this spring, which lays out some priorities and a roadmap for our future in terms of equity.
You just echoed something that the executive said. You said that we're doing a lot more listening than we've done before. So, people have been in the past used to us coming and telling them what we're going to do without asking them first. So when you went out to the communities, when you went to the various employee groups, what did you hear? And did those things match up? Were you hearing something very different from the public versus what you were hearing from employees, or was there some area of overlap?
There is a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of, which makes it at the end, and some key themes begin to arise, and that's how, we are now developing some of the priorities that we are pushing forward. We produced 2 very thorough reports on both the employee engagement and the community engagement that's available. We did those last year, and really the 3 of the key strategies that arose and that are going to be part of our work moving forward is investing in our employees, investing in community partnerships, and investing upstream and where needs are greatest. And we might think that it's a bit of a luxury, especially as we're hearing about some challenging situations in some departments, to talking about investment. But this is really about prioritizing and what do we want to focus on, and it's also how do we use our human resources plus our financial resources. So thinking about it more comprehensively, and really we're trying to lay a roadmap for years to come as well. So thinking more long picture in that regard. So really moving in those areas. And for example, with employees, we really want to advance some of the strategies that create a workforce and workplace. The executive was referring to this, where we can really have, by focusing especially on our managers and supervisors and some of the skills that they need to be able to really have respect in our workplaces, listening, and create an environment where our employees can truly thrive. And then really in terms of our workforce, we know, and we've been looking at, and then we've heard from our employees that we're more diverse in our lower paid jobs than in the leadership and management positions. So, and at the same time, there's a definite strength to having diversity at all levels of the organization to really be able to serve the needs of our community. So thinking about, and not everybody in the organization has had traditionally, historically, the same level of access to employee development opportunities. So given that we have a very diverse and very talented, even lower paid positions, what are some of those pathways that we can develop? How can we focus on employee development at those levels and have those people advance to more management and leadership positions? And we've already seen some examples of some places where that has happened and been very successful.
That's a great reminder also that equity and social justice is not just an issue of race. Sometimes we've heard that in the trainings where people are like, well, I'm a white woman, or I'm a white guy, or I'm an Asian woman. Those things don't really apply to me, or why should I care about this? So it's about making things equitable, in terms of gender, in terms of position and salaries, access to professional development you mentioned. That's the employee part. When we think about how we deliver our services and do our partnerships with the community, what did you hear from the community members about what we could be doing differently? Because we feel like we've been doing an okay job, but I know that they were like,
Yeah,
not so much.
That's true. So first, in terms of really the effect on our programs in terms of the overall and for departments and agencies, and it's, again, building on some of the things that our executive was talking about with Best Starts for Kids, is this theme of investing upstream and where the needs are greatest. So what really can we do in those areas? We know, for example, investing in children and youth and early childhood development can be extremely important. So getting our whole organization to be really thinking about that. Also, how can we think about kind of the policies and system changes that we can create to expand access to determinants of equity, which really touch all of our employees. We touch many of these determinants in our work, and we know that that's much more effective financially to do at that level kinds of changes than just some of the individual behavior change, which is a lot more costly. So how do we think about those really big drivers that happen, and then really focusing on really prevention instead of treatment as well, and thinking that's an important concept of upstream. So thinking around the criminal justice system, what are the things that we can do in terms of making sure that both youth and adults, stay away from that involvement with the criminal justice system and keep them being productive members of our society. We know that that's really going to give, if we're talking here about budget, that's going to give us, not only from the human perspective, but from the budget perspective, is going to give us a lot more bang for our buck. And just briefly, I think the key theme around the partnerships with communities is that really our partners have been saying that they want us to move away from just kind of the regular outreach and episodic outreach efforts that we sometimes do, to really developing more our partnerships that we have with organizations. And at the end, really, how can we think about our role in terms of helping build some of that capacity in the community? Because, at the end, it's, organizations and community members and residents want to be able to really succeed on their own, and that's a much more sustainable thing. So if we can build some more capacity to establish some of those relationships and partnerships to build that capacity in community, we'll all be better off.